Leap of Fate podcast fans. Welcome to this week's episode with yours truly, Randy Silver. As always, the Leap of Fate is around overcoming adversity. Whatever you may be facing in daily life, we're here to help you understand life lessons, understand big subject matters, and make sure that you're confident to go achieve your goals and your dreams. This week is going to be a big one for you guys. Monique Turner epitomizes the Leap of Fate message of overcoming adversity and turning something out of nothing. So let me tell you about Monique and what she's overcome in her life and why her message is going to resonate with you, my loyal law fans, this week. Monique Turner is a keynote speaker, author, and a youth advocate. She works with individuals, organizations, and families to transform their lives. Her mantra, never personal, always purpose. Monique is on a mission to help others overcome challenging moments so that they may find fulfillment and, above all, success. Now, this is where it gets really tough. Early in her life, in her journey, Monique experienced some of the life's hardest struggles. The death of both her mother and her father, her grandmother and great-grandmother before she was 23, and also some other families in her life, which, it's tough to not have that as you're coming up through adulthood. The domino effect left her tragedy and unprotected on the streets of San Francisco, California, where I used to live, learning to defend herself. By 25, she would later find herself facing a 5-year federal prison sentence, forcing her to leave her 7-year-old son behind. So she had to make a decision. Am I going to let this dictate the rest of my life, or am I going to come out a better person? What does this mean for my life, and how do I move forward? She took the high road, and she made sure she turned this around and absolutely changed her life. Using her time wisely, she turned her whole life around. Now she's helping other people throughout her organizations and her business to understand when they're coming out of prison, what they can do as well. Today, Monique seeks to transform and uplift the voices of the underserved and unheard. She has helped over 15,000 at-risk youth and formerly incarcerated individuals reclaim their lives and discover their true purpose. She does this through her business, Never Purpose, Always Purpose, LLC. Whether it's working with the youth, adults, or anybody out there, she encourages individuals to realize their purpose. Her evidence-based seminars, such as The Power of Purpose, help people successfully navigate their social, emotional issues and begin on the path to self-discovery. Whew, Monique, you're amazing. That's awesome. So you can see here that she's going to give us so much around everything around overcoming adversity. We're going to really dive into what it was like to go to jail, have to leave your family. How do you dictate jail? How do you come out of jail? And how do you bring yourself back to having a normal life, and not just have a normal life, helping other people who have walked her path. So Monique, before I bring you in, I just want to say to my law fans, thank you to everyone listening week over week. You all give me the best advice. You all give me the best feedback. You all love all the Instagram posts, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all of it. You guys really enjoyed, of course, the episode I talked about losing my job. You guys said that was amazing, transparent feedback. Then we had the cryptocurrency episode, and people really enjoyed getting the in-depth understanding of Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency, how it all works. Then we had Zach Weiss, the professional athlete, who came on to talk about being in the minor league baseball, playing in MLB. He's now over in Israel playing for the Olympics, for baseball, of course. So we'll bring him back on a couple weeks after the Olympics are over to talk about what it was like to be an Olympic athlete. As you guys know, there's no fans there this year. There's no family allowed to go. So it'll be a very unique experience that we will get his feedback from. And then the one that happened this past week, U.S. government policy and stopping Asian discrimination with Jeff Lee. You guys really like that. You saw some of the posts up on social media that the big news story this week on ESPN was Stephen A. Smith using some wrong words to talk about Shohei Ohtani, the baseball player, and it was right on topic with what Jeff is saying is how there's discrimination against Asian people and what he's done in government. So thank you so much. Again, a lot of diverse subjects, a lot of different matters here. And that's where Monique will come in this week to talk about her personal story and overcoming adversity that she's dealt with. Now you guys are probably sick of my voice and you get to see Monique smile. So let me bring her in. Monique, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Randy. I really, really appreciate you for having me on, allowing me to be able to share my testimony in hopes for it to help change someone else's life.
Awesome. And I know I gave you a great long-winded intro. Was there anything that I missed that you feel like is important for the audience to know?
Yes. So what's very important is I had my son so let me back up a little bit for you guys.
Got it.
So I'm going to give you a quick timeline of everything that I encountered. Randy, you did an excellent job, but you only have so much from the Bible, right? So you didn't read my book yet. So it's all good because you didn't read my book.
Okay? The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. So before I was 5, I don't know exactly what age, but somewhere between the age of 0 to 5 years old. I know I had to be very young before 5 because that's when I would always get on my uncle's lap. We would always go driving. Why are you trying to show a 5-year-old? Let's just say I was 5, a 5-year-old little girl how to drive? That's beyond me. But I'll tell you why. Because at that time I was being abused while sitting on my uncle's lap driving from point A to point B.
Wow.
And so I didn't understand where this fast little girl came from. But I knew that I was a fast little girl, but my mom and my parents and my dad, and everybody thought I was a tomboy, that I wasn't a fast little girl. Nobody knew but the people I was being fast with.
Well, what does fast little girl mean? I don't know.
What that means is that I was into boys and doing things with boys at a very, very young age.
Got it. Okay. And just for the audience, before you continue,
to understand,
yeah. And before you go, really quick, I just want the audience to know, I haven't spoken to Monique before we got on this call together. So your reaction, if you guys hearing this live, is the reaction I'm having in the moment. So if I ask questions, it's because I'm really invested in her and I'm hearing the same story that you guys are hearing for the first time. So please continue.
Okay, thank you. And so, I started having relations with boys at a very, very young age. And so I didn't know where that came from. I always wanted to understand it. I enjoyed friction, right? Why did I like friction at a young little girl? Why is it that I was humping pillows? Why is it that I'm humping girls at being a little girl? Well, I'll tell you why, because I was getting introduced to friction at a very young age. And so sitting on my uncle's laps in the car, as well as sitting on their laps in the house, in the bedroom. Why are we in the bedroom and I'm on your lap? That's beyond me. But again, it happened. So that type of abuse is something I endured that nobody knew. I discovered that as I'm an adult, now that I work with youth, that actually came up. So I never got to tell that to my parents, to my uncle, because they passed away, or anyone. I wrote it in my book. And then at 10 years old, I started selling drugs. I grew up in the projects. San Francisco housing projects, Valencia Gardens to be exact. So now I'm selling drugs at 10. I catch my first drug case at 15 years old. I get pregnant at 18 years old. I have my son at 19 years old. I lose my dad at 23. I lose my mom at 24. I go to federal prison at 25. I come home at 30. And now you would think, and while I was in prison, I lost my great grandmother and 2 of my favorite aunties. So you can imagine where my mind was, right? I was an emotional wreck. And while I was in prison, one of my friends came in and she was like, Monique, you're grieving wrong. You need to, switch it. Let's have a Bible study. Well, I didn't believe in God. I didn't even want to talk about God. Like, God took everything from me from my son, my family, and my family from me. So I didn't believe in God at the time, but I did it. We started having Bible study together. And that introduced me to God. So now I'm beginning to say, you know what, maybe this is working for me, because now it's allowing my mind to get to a better place. So I would wake up in the morning, watch TD Jakes and Joel Osteen at 7:30 in the morning. I never went to church in prison. But when I came home, I still did things that was breaking the law. I still did, because who wants to come home and work for $13 an hour when you've been used to making between $500 to $3,000, $5,000 in one day? Nobody, right? I know I didn't. So, and then I didn't have my parents to fall back on. So now I'm doing things I shouldn't. Then, let me rewind. I also started same-sex relations in prison. Okay, so I went in with men, I came out with women, and now I'm married to my wife for 12 years. So I never had any more relations with a man ever again since the day I stepped foot inside prison, in federal prison. Okay.
Got it.
So from there, I ended up breaking law. And so anyway, I ended up in the halfway house.
So can I interject? Can we leave that as a cliffhanger and go back? Because you shared a lot of information. So let's leave it as a cliffhanger so people can have something to look forward to in the episode. Can I take it back to you going to jail, if we can start there for a second? A lot of people hear about jail. They probably see it on a TV show, whatnot. As a first-hand account, can you talk about like what it was like having to leave your family and then also then be in jail and what the day-to-day was like?
Yeah, I can. And so, first of all, I self surrendered. So, that within itself was just so hard and so devastating that I didn't even want my family to come with me to the prison. I had a boyfriend at the time. And so I had him drop me off at the jail because I went and seen everybody before I left.
Hmm.
But I just knew that it would be too emotional for me to get out of the car and actually say that I'm not going to see, well, I see them through visits, but I'm not going to be able to be home with you.
You
And
touch
so,
them, things like that. Yeah.
yeah, and it was really hard telling my son that I was going to have to leave him and that he'll be able to see me, but I wasn't coming home. He was 7 years old at the time. And so it was really devastating. He was like, "No, mom, where are you going? I want to go, show me." And it was a really, really hard time. And while I was in prison, this sucks to say, but I have fun. Okay. I know a lot of people are like, "What? You have fun?" I have fun while I was in jail. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you have to adapt to whatever environment that you are in. And I had to adapt to that environment. I chose not to be sad every day, to be depressed every day. I was blessed enough to see my family, though, my son, every weekend. So I seen my son all the time. My sister came there all the time, my cousin and my god kids. So it was really a okay experience. And I believe that it was an experience that helped me. So I believe in the power of three. So like I lost my mom, I lost my dad. I believe that third loss was me. The old Monique was dead, and now the new Monique was birthed in
Got it.
prison.
So when
And
you say it
so
was really fun, what made it fun? What was your 9 to 5? Were you like, I guess it would be 24/7, excuse me. Was it sitting in a jail cell? Did you guys have outdoor hours? You able to have a TV? What was the actual experience like?
So what made it fun is that the group of ladies that I was with was a great group of ladies, and that was fun. We had a lot of activities. One of the main activities that we would do is softball every summer. And I was a captain of one of the teams, so we would have teams and everybody be outside and playing. We played basketball games. We used to do talent shows. So we had talent shows in prison. We didn't have cells. So I was in federal prison. So it was more like dorm living. So it was like we were in this big college campus in a room. There was 3 to a room. You had a bunk bed, and then you had a single bed. You had a bathroom in your room. So your toilet was there and your sink. You had to go into the hallway, and there were showers throughout different parts of, just think of a square. And so at the square, there's a shower at each square and in the middle of that square, right? And then that's also where the phones was, and the TV rooms. The TV rooms were at 2 angles. So you had one TV room at one end, another TV room at the other end, and then you had a TV downstairs in the big common area. So everybody would get together and just put the chairs out. There's a lot of chairs. You're able to put those out. We'll have movie night, or everybody will watch something. So sometimes that will become a problem where what somebody is watching on TV, and whoever went in the TV room first, that means that's just what's on the TV. But for the most part, everybody worked together and really had the same TV programs that we would watch. So we had just all come together. Prison Break was a hot thing back then. So,
I wonder why. I
yeah,
wonder why.
right. So that was one of our hot shows back then, was Prison Break. But
So let me ask you
that,
this question. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
no,
Is
you're
this
good.
a normal prison experience, or was obviously I think when I think of prison, it's in your jail cell 23 hours a day, hours, sunlight. This seemed, like you said, almost like a summer camp type of thing. So was it just the prison you're in, or is that the difference between a state prison and a federal prison?
That's the difference between a state prison and a federal prison. Now, I've never been in state prison, but I have been in the county jail. And the county jail, you're in a cell, right? But I will say this: they're redoing a lot of the jails now, and so the motto is not the cells. The motto now is a door. Because even in San Francisco at 850 Bryant, the old
Oh,
jail,
I know that
it,
place. I used to work by it. I
yeah,
used
so
to
the
work in
old
Soma.
jail, they have cells and things,
Yeah.
right? And they actually closed the old cell down. But the new one that they built, it's doors. right? So it's also like dorm living. There's a bunch of doors go all the way around, and then there's the railing, and then so it's just different floors. So yeah, I believe that they're moving away from the cell model and moving more towards the dorm room type of model. But
Got it.
federal prison, from what I hear from the ladies that were in state prison with me, I mean that was in federal prison with me, is that state prison is, well, they say, you know what, they was like state prison is better, but from what I hear, they have they have cells. But you know what the thing is, and this is what's sad, is we get so accustomed and used to our situations that we're in, to then where that's why we have so many repeated offenders, right? That's why we have so many people that are continue. Even I was one of them, so I can't just say people, right? I came home breaking the law, still doing things that I shouldn't have done, because technically, you would think you would learn a lesson after 5 years. You would think that would scare you straight, and you're not going to do anything to break the law. But if your mind is not right, then you're going to continue to do what you was doing before you went in. And that's why we have so many repeated offenders.
And so that's a great segue to you, is when you said you came out, as you just said, that you were repeating crime again. What made you finally have the aha moment that, what, this isn't the right path. If I keep doing this, I'm going to be away from my son. I'm not going to be able to live this life outside of a jail.
When I actually so I told you I had a violation. And so the violation, I didn't do anything to catch that violation. That was just being with somebody. And see, this is why you can't be with people in environments and situations when you're on probation. So I was just with somebody and being in the car with them. They had drugs. She got pulled over, drugs in the car. And so now I'm going to jail, and I had to do a violation for that. Well, like I said, I came home breaking the law. So because I was doing credit card fraud, what happened is I ended up getting snitched on again. And this is why I can't stand crime, right? So I got snitched on behind what I was doing. And so that was it for me. I ended up fighting another case. And so I was so terrified when I was fighting this case, because I was facing 4 years. And I was just like, no, I cannot do this again. Like, at this time, I have my wife and now 2 other kids, right? Because my wife has a son. So now I have 3 kids all together. And now here it is, I'm about to leave my son again after leaving him already. I was just so devastated and disgusted and mad at myself that I said no more. And once God gave me the opportunity that he gave me, and I had that interview with the school, and I had that opportunity, and I began to volunteer. It wasn't even a paid opportunity, but just because I had that volunteer opportunity, I knew that it was God, and I knew that this was my opportunity that I couldn't mess up. So for me, I know that if I do anything illegal, I'm going to get stripped for everything that I have and everything that I've worked for. And I'm going to have to pay the price that is going to be 10 times worse. And I don't want to pay that price. So I refuse to do anything illegal, no matter how hard it seems right now. But again, that was about getting my mind right, right? Because the mind is the battle.
Yeah, and that almost taking it to like a UFC fighter, we all probably just watched McGregor versus Poirier. Dustin was talking about like 5 years ago, Connor's antics. My mind wasn't ready and I couldn't handle it. He looks so smooth and so calm. And like, I'm just thinking about you the same way. It's like, when I was younger, my mind wasn't right. But now that I'm older and a little bit more mature, I understand the consequences of what it can have repercussions, not just on me, but my family and the people around me. And I want to not be in that position to let people down or let my mind get to that position where I'm not ready to move forward and take it 2 steps back.
Right. Yeah. Because, I mean, I know, and even though I was like, oh, my son, really, was I thinking about my son? Because I was still doing things that can get me took from my son, right? So it's easy to talk about it, right? You can talk about what you want to do and what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, but action is everything, right? So if we don't put some action behind those thoughts, then we're going to be stuck right where we were at. And if sometimes we need to not put action behind those thoughts, right? And let them just be thoughts, especially when they're not good thoughts.
And I want to talk about your actions in 1 second. I have one more question for you that's more of just a grander question on your opinion. You said you grew up in the Tenderloin?
No, I grew up in the Mission District.
Mission, excuse me. So if you guys don't know San Francisco, Tenderloin is probably the most rundown area where the slums are. Mission District is probably second, depending where you're at. Do you feel like the city of San Francisco, the government of California, the US government did not set you and the people around you up for success as you're growing up, that led you towards this life of going to jail? Or do you think it was more other circumstances around your personal life that created that, in more of a social economics standard?
Well, you know what? The truth be told, we can say it's on both, right? I mean, because now that in that moment we didn't know we were kids, but if you do research and you look back now, you see that they literally had everybody that was low income, welfare, right, in poverty in one section. They said, we're going to put you all in one area. And so this is how we have all these urban areas where everyone is in one
Mm-hmm.
spot. Well, then crack came out, right? And it was this crack epidemic. And now you had people that were doctors and lawyers and everybody smoking crack now, that, oh no, we got a big problem and now we need to do something. So now what they did, instead of having all this housing, oh, let me give everybody Section 8 and move them out to the suburbs and let them move where they want to move. So now we could gentrify everything and come on back to the city, and so that part of it has to do with the city. But for me, I like to own myself and accountability. And so I did it to myself. My mom raised 3 kids. I'm the only one that sold drugs. I'm the only one that chose the life of crime. My older sister works and I was working too since I was 14 years old. But my older sister works, and that's all, she continued that path. My younger sister has a BA. She keeps going to college, and she's a supervisor, at the airport. So she for the city and county. So they both have great and career jobs and have done very well for themselves. And me too, but after I've done all this life of crime. So definitely I have to own it, but I can also say, oh, well, my parents, my mom, my dad, we are in the projects. My dad sold drugs. So, hey, he introduced me on how to sell the
Mm-hmm.
drugs, and they did drugs. So I can also say, well, I was in an environment where they did drugs, but guess what? They took really good care of us. We didn't want for anything. So I didn't have to do what I did. It was more if I wanted to, because of the environment and what I was seeing. It looked fun. It looked cool. It just was something that I did, and I love everything about my past. I love everything about the different things that I endured, because I believe that it set me up to be who I am today, and the person that I am today, how the impact that I have on you. I love it.
I love that. And I love the fact that you said like owning it. And I think a lot of us try to make excuses and say, XYZ is the reason this happened. ABC is the reason when this happened. And you're like, you know what? That could have been the reason, but I make my own life decisions and I'm owning the decisions I made, which is a good segue to, you made a decision to try to help your son not flunk out of school, and you started the volunteering. So now we can go back to that part of the story, and I want you to continue on. Now,
Okay.
everyone, now we're back.
We back at it. Okay, so once I started volunteering, you guys, they gave me a contract. It was a small contract for 1 day a week. So here comes December. Now January's coming. They like, wait a minute, everybody's talking, right? We know people love to talk. So they like, no, you know what? I don't want Monique in this school. So I don't know who was talking, but I know people was talking. Like, Monique got to go. If she don't get her record terminated and expunged, she has to go. I'm like, how am I going to get this done? I had till January. They told me this in December. January, it had to get done. What am I going to do? I don't know anything about getting my record expunged. I don't know anything about terminating my probation. So I call up a lot of different organizations that say that's what they do. Everybody's telling me it's going to take 3 to 6 months. I call up my lawyer. They telling me too. It's going to take 2 to 4 months. I didn't have that type of time. So I said, what could I do? They said, well, you better try to do it yourself. Write up a motion. And so I'm like, okay. So I go to the law library. I write up a motion. Me and my cousin, she was with me. We did it together. I wrote up the motion, submitted it to the courts. Boom. Had a court date in 2 weeks. Boom. Just like that. Went in front of the judge, told the judge, pled my case, had letters of recommendation from the principal and why I needed to be off probation. Just like that, I was granted access, terminated probation, went back
Congratulations. That's massive. That's awesome. Especially the writing a law motion is not like easy. Like, it's not something you just pick up and like, I can do it today.
And you want me to tell you something? I do it for other people now. So this is something else that I do, because I want to reduce recidivism on a large scale. And I want people to be able to stop if we have 3 years of probation, we don't have to do 3 years. We could do a year and a half. As long as we've done everything we're supposed to do in that year and a half, we can be terminated early. But they don't tell us that. So it can be that extra year or that extra 3 months that now has you back in jail for something so silly, all because you're on probation. So that's something else that I do. Is I definitely I help other people do it now. I have, guess what, I have not lost a case yet, so I'm excited about that.
Ooh, knock on wood. We're not trying to jinx you on this podcast.
Not at all. So 2 weeks later, I had to go back into the court, because even though my probation was terminated, it needed to be more. So went back into the court, submitted the expungement paper, and went back in to see the judge. Just like that, my record is expunged. So now here we are in 2021. And so another correction, we have served over 25,000 students. I'm in 5 different districts and 9 different schools. And our program has 100% graduation rate, helping students overcome their social emotional barriers through the lens of emotional intelligence. So I'm so excited about what we do with our youth.
I love that. And so can you describe some of the activities and projects you do with the youth?
Yeah. So you know what? We have an amazing, I'll talk about the girls empowerment, because we have an amazing girls empowerment that is just needed all around the world. And this is why we have tailored this program so that it can go all around the world. So if there's any educators or principals or parents or anybody that wants to know more or see more, please just let me know. I can send you a link too, Randy, if you want. You could just
please. If you guys, it will be in the bio of the YouTube, and also be the bio if you're listening to Apple, Spotify, any podcast. Just click the link that she provided me.
Yeah, I'll provide the link, so that way you can see a girls empowerment in action. But what we do is we help our students. We're building healthy relationships. We're building self-esteem. We're building self-confidence. We are teaching them what self-awareness is, social awareness. They're learning how to manage their emotions, manage their reactions. They're learning about temperament theory, right? And the different personality types. So now they get to be introduced to their personality type. So now they can understand themselves a little bit more, right? Because what I see and what I know, and I just did a girls empowerment today because it's summer school right now. And it breaks my heart that we do this graffiti wall, and the graffiti wall is where they're getting up on the board and they're writing everything, that all the negative names that they've been called. And the board gets filled up. And then I say, all right, we taking back our power now. I want everybody to write, who are you? I am beautiful. I am kind. I am smart. They all turn around. This Monique, I'm not beautiful. It breaks my heart. Oh, I'm just so heartbroken, because it's like you can put all these names that are negative that people have called you. But then when it comes to owning your power and your beauty and your confidence, they just can't, and they don't. But then we go through other exercises that then helps build that up. But that's how we started out. So I can see how broken they are. And we break out in different groups. We do improv. So we do a bunch of different skits, and we just have we have a really good time. It's hands-on. It's very interactive. So the students are engaging with each other. It's building relationships. So students that didn't even know each other are now talking with each other. They're connected with each other. And so that, you know what, instead of now just walking by each other with funny faces, it's like a sisterhood that is being created. And so I really enjoy it, and especially the schools that I'm able to do it at year after year, because then we're able to have some the ambassadors, to where my olders, if we're in a middle school, the 8th graders they help being peer leaders as we do the girls empowerment. So then that way they're able to buddy up with the 6th grader, and they're like, their big sister in the school. So it's and then same thing for high school. So it's just really amazing, the connection and the impact. And then followed by the girls empowerment, I do small breakout groups, and then also we can do case management with the students. And so there's just a lot of different components to what we do, and the way that the program is structured, and how it just all depends on which package the schools want.
God, and how has that been affected through COVID? Obviously, people are back in school mainly. I know at the end of the summer, everyone's much going back to school, mask on. But height of COVID, how were you able to still have these interactions when you're not able to see people? It was only via Zoom.
Yeah, so that's how we did it. We did it via Zoom. So Zoom, we are just playing a lot of breakout games. We play Kahoot. We do scavenger hunts. We do also do a cooking class. So we were able to do a cooking class on over the Zoom. So yeah, it was good, but it wasn't effective as it
Yep.
is when we are in person. You know,
That's what I
we'll
was
be very
imagining,
honest about
especially
that.
the people you're working with, a little bit more inner city people, where who says that they're able to have the best internet? Maybe they're potentially not focused on their computer; they have other stuff around them. So I'm sure it was super neat and effective. But you're probably very much looking forward to being back in person, having those interactions you just talked about.
Yeah, yeah, because you know what? We actually have a summer school that we just finished. Tomorrow's the last day. And it's been really good, even though we still have to have our mask on, still, and it gets hot when you're talking, but it still has been a wonderful experience because our students have dealt with so much throughout these 15 months. And this is why this girls' empowerment is so important because we do all of our teaching through the lens of emotional intelligence, right? And it's something that is needed right now for the students and the staff. You know, we have an amazing emotional intelligence training that we do for staff as well, because for us, we're more about being the village and bringing everyone together. So we have it for staff, we have it for parents, for everybody. It's just with the girls, they get a lot more fun, interactive
Yeah.
activities and engagement and things like that. And, you know, it helps everybody to be able to see, like, you know, the different terms because we have different terms. Like, I'll give you one. I like to call this one of the terms is your student the emotional superstar? And I'll ask the girls, like, are you the emotional superstar? And what that means is, are you the one being disruptive? You need to be seen, you need to be heard, you want to be
Mhm.
loud, right? So they like, oh, I'm a superstar, but I'm not the emotional superstar. And that's when I like to say, I want you to be the superstar. Let's drop the emotional part and be the superstar. You know, and it's fun. It's fun for the students. And then on top of that, when the teachers learn that, then they're able to use that term in the classroom. So now the students don't even feel they don't feel affected by it, right? They feel
Yep.
okay. Like, oh, you know what? I know that. And nope, I'm not the emotional superstar. I'm gonna get it right, you know. And so it's just so fun, and it's such an amazing impact. And so, you know, like I like to tell people, because you know, sometimes schools will say, oh, well, how does it look on paper? You know, send me a proposal. So listen, people can make things look so good on paper. It's not about how it looks on paper. What it's about is how are you building the connection? Can
Yeah.
you connect with these students? Everybody can't connect with students. I don't care what kind of program you have. I don't care what you're doing. Just because you work with youth does not mean that you know how to connect with them. And if
Mhm.
you can't connect with them, then we can't help them the way they need to be supported and that with the help that they need.
I agree. I think that's all fantastic stuff. And like a story I have that is kind of the same was they didn't know if I had like ADD or ADHD when I was in first grade. So my parents, psychiatrist, and the teacher had a game with me at the end of the Friday, depending on how many points I got in the game. I would get like an icy from 7-Eleven. That was my prize if I did well. And I was like super stoked on it. It was my favorite. But in the middle of class, he'd be like, "Hey, Randy," and he would say a word or he'd say a number, and like I would know if that meant positive, negative, and then the people in class would be like, "What are they talking about?" But it was like their way to interact with me, knowing if I was like not being emotionally a superstar, if I was being disruptive, if I was talking out of turn. So it's kind of like what you said, just in a grander scale. But like for me, it really helped me understand where like you need to learn how to interact in the group setting and not be that person who's emotionally superstar. So it kind of like triggered me a little bit.
You know what? My son, my youngest son, he also has a you know, he has ODD, and so yeah, when he was in the second grade, we had and the third grade and the fourth grade, we had all these different things that we would do. He had the same thing. He had the teacher would say something and he knew to stop, or we would do prizes where he had this Superman chart. So as long as the chart had all the X's, then he got a prize. And so, you know, students need
Mm-hmm.
reinforcement. right? And even without the label, even without the label, because we don't know a lot. Let's be true. Let's be honest. Like, I believe that, me personally, if it was diagnosed back then, I have ADHD. I believe, because I can't sit still. I don't, I'm always moving and going. So, you just never, that's why I don't like labels, right? Without the label, how are we supporting and helping our students to be successful? We all got an education.
Mm-hmm.
It should be for that reason, right? The pay is not amazing. So it got to be because we're passionate about supporting the youth. But somewhere along the way, just with some teachers that got lost, with some parents that got lost, everybody. And that's my thing, is everybody's accountable, but everybody's not holding themselves accountable.
Yep. I think that's a great way this round third here and kind of head towards home is, I think you've shown people so much about overcoming adversity and what your situation in your youth and going to jail and coming out of it. And you've turned it all around. And now you're helping people who will never have to hopefully walk through the same shoes as you. If you had a quick 30 seconds, this is the key takeaway for people who are listening to Leap of Faith this week, what would that be?
What I want you to know is that no means a new opportunity. Okay. No means a new opportunity. Don't get stuck in the no. The no is just no. Remember, no, no, no. It's just a word. Don't get stuck in it. Okay. Keep going. Whatever you are, and this is another one, whatever you are most passionate about, okay, you will do. If you had $1 million right now, what is that thing that you will do? Whatever that is, I want you to give that as much attention that you can give it. I want you to feed that as much as you can feed it. Okay. Write it out. Here you go. I got something for everybody to do. You grab a piece of paper. You fold the piece of paper in 3. Okay.
I'll get a piece of paper.
Take a piece of paper and you fold it in 3, just like this. Just like this. Okay. Then you're going to have 3 pieces. See, 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. On one side, you're going to write everything that you are most passionate about. On the other side, you're going to, in the middle, everything that everybody says that you are good at. And then on the third one, everything that you enjoy doing. All right. And then connect the dots. And when you are able to connect the dots all the way across, not the 2-way, the 2-way mean we got to put that on the back burner. But if you are connecting those dots with a 3-way, that's what you want to give your attention to, because those are the things that you're good at. Those are the things that can possibly and most likely 95% of the time be aligned with your purpose.
I absolutely love that. So everyone, please get that piece of paper, fold it, and do that. And this goes with all the other guests we've had talking about whatever you're loving life, go make it happen. Don't let the life that you want to have just bypass you. You only have one life. YOLO. Go follow your dreams, go follow your passions, and you can make your dreams a reality. I love that.
Yes.
Anything else that you feel like you want to share that we haven't spoken about yet before we go?
Yeah, so I want to let you know, like I was saying a little bit earlier, is if there's anybody that's watching this that are on probation or know somebody that's on probation, I'll also send that link to Randy as well. There's a link. I have a questionnaire. You can fill that questionnaire out, and I'm going to see if you are a good fit to have your probation terminated early. If you are not a good fit, then I'll tell you some of the things, strategies that I believe that you can do to be able to terminate before your term is up. Also, I am a self-published author. I have a book. It's called The Purpose Over Prison. So if you want to just get, and Power of Purpose, if you want to begin to get your mind right, switch your mindset, switch the narrative, then I recommend you getting the bundle. You can get them individually, but you can get the bundle. It's cheaper to get the bundle because I also will send you a journal so you can do all your journaling. And The Power of Purpose talks about my story on how I was able to overcome everything that I just told you about, a little more in detail and a little more tips on the things that you can do for yourself to be able to overcome the same adversity. And then Power of Purpose, I interviewed 5 other individuals that also share their story on how they were able to get to a space where they were able to choose purpose over prison. So that book is really, really amazing. If you have somebody that is in prison, the first 10 people that message me, I'll send that person a book for free. Okay, so
Love
whoever is
that.
in prison, I'll send 10 people a book that's in, I mean, 10 people a book that's in prison. Okay, and then I'll also give Randy a link that is 3 ways to manage your emotions. All right, so it's a video. It also comes with a worksheet. If you want that, then you can click on that, so that way, if you feel like you have been struggling with managing your emotions, then please watch that video, because it'll definitely give you some strategies on things that you can do to get control. Because let me tell you, when we get control of our emotions and we get control of the battle in our mind, we get control over our life.
I love that. And if people want to find you, how's the way to find you? What's your Instagram?
So my Instagram is Monique Turner TV. Also, the Purpose Over Prison, which is the book. And LinkedIn, I'm Monique Turner. But I seen a link that said Monique A. Turner. So Monique Turner or Monique A. Turner. And then there is, what else? Oh, if you want to, the email. Got to get the email, right? So everybody, info at neverpersonalalwayspurpose.com. All right. So everybody, 10 people, the first 10 people that message me. And you know what? Let's do, and even 3, and so 10, 7, and 3 is my favorite number. So I also 3 people, if you feel like you really need my book and you really want it, but right now you are having hard times and you can't afford the book, send me a message and you'll get the book. Okay, 3 people. First 3 people, I will send the book as a gift to you.
I love that. Thank you so much. And everything she just talked about is in the link of your bio on the podcast app or YouTube. So please go ahead and click it if you weren't able to get it. Again, my name is Randy Silver. You're listening to the Leap of Faith podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Buzzsprout, however you are. If you like this content and you want to share it, please hit that like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please rate and review so that way more people get to see it. Monique's message of overcoming adversity and changing your life around is something that we all can take in our own heart. Monique, thank you so much for coming on this week. We're going to go ahead and do our sign off. So please repeat after me. Stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
And have a good week, fans.
And have a good week, fans.
Deuces.
Deuces.
Bye, everybody.